Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. We're going to be looking at the astrology of the week ahead. That is the week from Sunday, November 17th to Saturday, the 23rd, 2024. I do these every week, sometimes, usually every week, depending on how much is going on during the week. And many of you have followed me for years. I do want to let you know that I will be starting a, a membership for this channel, and I will continue to do these through December. But then starting in January, this will be part of my membership. You will, if you decide to be a member, you will get this first, and um, and I'm not gonna, it won't be too expensive. I just, I feel like having a membership will allow me to expand my teaching to those who are interested in that, with different levels of membership. And I also feel like, in the environment that we're in right now, it may be better to keep more of what is said private. So, just as a precaution, considering what may lie ahead for us. So, that's all I want to say about that. I want to welcome my subscribers, both old and new. Thank you for joining me for this. And let's jump right into it. So we're going to just be looking at this side. We're going to go over this side of this um, slide. So on Monday, this the 18th, we have Mercury making an opposition to Jupiter at 19 degrees of Sagittarius and Gemini. This is the halfway point of the synodic cycle that began at the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction. Both Mercury and Jupiter are planets associated with how our mind works, um, along the axis of the mind, Gemini, Sag. And so it's interesting because we're in a little bit of a reversal kind of energy with this, in that Mercury is in Sagittarius, Jupiter is in Gemini. This is actually a mutual reception because Jupiter rules Sag and Mercury rules Gemini. So there's this sort of referring back to itself in a way, strangely. And it almost feels like we're in a little bit of an upside down world at this time. And hopefully this will give us some some insight into that. We also have on that day a sun trining Neptune. This is a waning trine. This has the energy of Sagittarius, and that occurs at 28 degrees of Scorpio for the sun and 28 degrees of Pisces for Neptune. On Tuesday, the 19th, this is what a lot of people have been talking about. Pluto finally ingresses into Aquarius, where it will stay for around 19 years. It goes out of Aquarius, I believe, in 2043. 2043. So we have a lot of time with Pluto in Aquarius. Um, and we'll get into that a little bit more deeply. On the 21st, the Sun ingresses into Sagittarius and then makes a sextile to Pluto, which just moved into uh, Aquarius. So the first aspect that Pluto, Ptolemaic aspect that Pluto comes into contact with as it moves into Aquarius now for the next 20 years is a sextile um, to the Sun. Which is interesting because this is about illumination, and we'll look to see what Sabian symbols and stuff may give us some insight into what this may mean for us. And then Friday, the 22nd, we have Venus making a waning sextile to Saturn. So these sextiles open the lines of communication, help us to share our knowledge with each other. Whereas the trines bring flow and the oppositions bring awareness. All right, so let's get into the week charts here. So here we have Mercury opposing Jupiter. Here's Mercury down here. at 19 degrees of Sag, Jupiter at 19 degrees of Gemini retrograde. This is a chart for the US, so thank you for my indulgences with that. This is a chart for Washington, D.C. This period may also tempt you to overextend yourself, taking on more than you can realistically manage. Remember, Jupiter, anytime Jupiter is associated with anything, there's an exuberance, an exaggeration, and sometimes an over-optimism on exactly what you can actually get accomplished, honestly. While your ambitions are commendable, it is essential to recognize your limits and prioritize your commitments wisely. So this really is about becoming aware uh, as to what is essential that you need. Like there's always like a list of priorities, right? Everybody has a list. If you prioritize them as to the most important things that you can do, generally we'll skip that and go to something that we find, because usually the thing that we must do is the thing that we least likely want to do. So we might come at a point now where we actually do something we don't really want to do, but we do it because we know it's necessary. Um, so this is the halfway point of the Mercury-Jupiter synod, as I said, and that actually began back on June 4th, 2024, at 3 degrees of Gemini. That symbol for 3 degrees of Gemini was a garden in the Tuileries in Paris, bringing to bear a rational mind to explain the mysteries, solidifies experience into the foundation of knowledge, understanding hierarchy and privilege. So that was the initial conjunction. And now we have Mercury at 19 degrees of Sag. A pelican moves its habitat. Sacrifice to secure our children's future. Selfishness is not a suitable survival strategy for the species. Overcoming thoughtless self-gratification. This really speaks to being aware, walking in other people's moccasins, really, and seeing where other people stand and getting that sense. And it's opposing Jupiter in Gemini at 19 of Gemini, a larger archaic volume, turning into archetypical wisdom. Archetypical wisdom. So there is this um, awareness, perhaps, that we need to start realizing that we live in community and that we're going to have to perhaps start building a community or making selfish sacrifices of our selfishness for the benefit of the larger whole, in an opposition to this archaic volume tuning into archetypical wisdom. And so there's a need for community, but there's also a need for big picture. And that picture based on wisdom, and not just the wisdom that's accrued in our libraries necessarily, but um, ancient libraries, including, I believe, we are coming to a place where, as the timelines converge, um, talents and abilities, capacities, um, we are being reawakened to what we've already known, and we can utilize that for the betterment of humanity. Okay. Next is the trine of the Sun and Neptune. This is happening on the same day. It's still under the vibration of the King of Cups. I didn't mention that over here, but here we have the King of Cups. There he is. So there's a wisdom. The King of Cups is about wisdom and feelings and understanding feelings, taking into consideration the feelings, and ruling from a place of hopefully compassion and understanding the need for people to work together to to make the world a better place, quite frankly. Okay, so we're here still in the 37-1 King of Cups vibration with the Sun trining Neptune. During the Sun trine Neptune, you are invited to explore the deeper aspects of your being with compassion and understanding, sort of looking into the cup that the King of Cups holds, right? Um, This period is ripe for emotional and intellectual reflection, allowing you to connect with the higher realms of reality. Meditation can be particularly beneficial. I would really uh, suggest that you take time in the morning before you turn on anything and you find out what's going on and all of that stuff, is to do some sort of time where you can quiet the mind or gently come out of sleep, as it were. Of course, my cat likes to do the cha-cha around my head, so I don't know how gentle me getting out of bed is in the morning. But even so, after I give him his food in the morning, I do have time to walk through the garden or um, sit in contemplation with a cup of tea, something like that. So we have these times that I would suggest that we use those particular times when things are most quiet to our benefit to help us understand where we're at and what we're going to do about where we're at. I mean, honestly, it's up to us, and we have to utilize all our tricks in our Felix bag of tricks. And some of those tricks come from other lifetimes. So this synod began on the conjunction of these two planets on St. Patrick's Day of all days, back in back in March of this year. It was a 28-1 vibration. That is a one. It is in Hokmah on the Tree of Life, and so it is about um, a pioneering effort, as it were. And it said, and this occurred at 28 degrees of Pisces, this conjunction. A garden under a full moon. Enough is a feast. Success in mastering the earth plane is measured in our ability to win abundance without becoming a slave to greed. Now, it does seem like there are certain people, influences in the wider world where they didn't actually get this memo. So, anyway, we're at now the Neptune is in the same degree. It has moved, but Neptune moves so slow that very often when we get to this waning sextile, it's at the same place. I've noticed that as a pattern. That may be something that it does. I don't know. Anyway, the sun, however, the illuminating part of the Sun-Neptune conjunction, because Neptune is dissolution and fog and this, that, and the other thing. And the sun making a trine to Neptune is a bit of like, when it's like a really like gray day, and then you're at the ocean and you see that like the sun like peeking through the clouds, and then it sort of illuminates a certain area of the ocean. That's sort of the vision I see with this kind of trine where we're illuminated because we've spent all this time in this sort of liminal space of Neptune. And it says the king of the fairies approaching his domain. Now, this is the sun, remember, in Scorpio, inner sovereignty. However pompous or controlling society may get, we still have our own inner world which we hold sway. Awareness of our deepest yearnings, trining enough is a feast. So we have to keep in our mind's eye the vision of the future we are here to create while dealing with each day, whatever is before us, to work that out for ourselves. And whatever comes up, whether it be an emotion, a feeling, or a situation, what are you going to do? In this idea of that no matter what, you are in charge of yourself and your own heart, and you can only allow people and situations to um, pull you down with your permission. Now, sometimes we have to go down. Sometimes it's about, moving into uh, the inner worlds or the shadow as we go, dig for the shadow of the truth of ourselves. And, we do that as well. And that may be one of the things that you have to do on this journey at this time. But know that uh, nobody can take the inner you, away from you without your permission. Okay. And then we have Pluto moving into Aquarius finally. It's been back and forth. It's gone in, this is the third time it's gone into Aquarius. And now it stays there for until 2043, March 8th, 2043, which is the judgment card, the vibration of that. But we're not even going to worry about that because that's way, way, God willing, I'll still be here in 20 years, right? Okay. God, Goddess willing, I would say. One of Aquarius, an old Adobe mission, we've heard this saving symbol over and over again. Lasting values. Some aspects of life are more important than others, and we build lasting forms for those that we want to outlive us. Building structures of survival within your group. So in an interesting way, we're being asked to really figure out what is the most important thing to us and to um, build in that direction, right? So Saturn, the ruler of so whenever a planet moves into a sign, I like to look to see where the rulers of that sign may be to give us an indication, perhaps, of hints as to the energy of Pluto moving into Aquarius. And I realize it's 20 years, so there's a lot of things that will happen and a lot of influences in those 20 years. But I think it's nice to see, just like at the very beginning, what the energy is like. And so first I looked at Saturn. Saturn is the classical ruler of Aquarius. Many people forget that. But the symbol here is a single pointed certainty of purpose. Rather like a wand, a sword directs our attention towards one and only one thing, and thus concentrates the will. Develop sharpness of intent. And develop sharpness of intent. The Sabian symbol, which I actually didn't put in here, the actual like picture that the lady saw in her head was a sword in a museum. A sword in a museum. So then they speak of the sword, right? The Ace of Swords, right? Maybe and the interesting thing is this particular Pluto going into Aquarius in Kether is the card associated with that is the Ace of Swords. It is the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is the root of air. The root of air is found in Kether. Pluto and Neptune are also found in Kether. So this really is the sword of justice coming in on the 19th, and we'll see what that means for us. And then we have Uranus, because we can't forget that the modern ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and that's at 26 degrees of Taurus. Says a Spaniard serenading his señorita. Personal desires are acted out according to permitted roles that our culture lays down, learning how to behave appropriately. And so there is, there's an idea that this, we're moving into Aquarian age, and it's a time of humanity. It's time for um, uh, sort of a humanitarian renaissance. But humanity is a complex thing, and um, we are all one. But when Pluto moves into Aquarius, I think what we're going to do is we're going to find our groups. And there's, good and bad to that. Remember, Pluto does bring up the shadow. And we'll have about 20 years to talk about that. So that's kind of cool, right? So here we have Pluto up here in Aquarius. And this is for the US, and it does fall in the 10th house for the US, and with the ascendant here at 2 degrees of Taurus. Joe Biden's moon is right at like 1 degree of Taurus. So Joe Biden's moon is right about here in this chart. And of course, he does have Pluto squaring his moon at this time. All right, let's continue here. On Thursday, the 21st, we have the Sun ingress into Sag. Sag is sun is illuminating, and Sag is our knowledge, understanding, sense of justice and truth. Again, this idea of truth. We're in a 40/4 vibration. This is the Page of Cups. Perhaps, perhaps some good news coming in. Um, so one of Sag, retired Army veterans gather to awaken old memories, finding the meaning within our struggles. It it is an aspect of our life on earth that we will have constant struggles against natural forces and other difficulties, processing the lessons within our mistakes and struggles, right? That is Sagittarius, understanding the journey. Remember, Sagittarius is the sign that comes right after Scorpio. And it's in Scorpio that we die to the old and reborn to the new, where we examine our shadows and really in ways sometimes the darkest parts of ourselves. So now we come out with the sun in Sag, and we start to illuminate our understanding and the meaning of things. Um, so Jupiter is the ruler of Sag, of course, and I look to see where Jupiter is. Jupiter is still at 19 degrees of Gemini. It just turned retrograde. So it's not moving very fast, and it really doesn't move that fast from one day to another. But we're still at 19 degrees of Gemini, a large archaic volume. Our typical wisdom, the seeds of wisdom existed before humanity began to interpret knowledge into words and behavior, turning to archetypical wisdom. Archetypical wisdom, quite honestly, is astrology. So if you want a reading, get in the queue. All right. Thursday, the 21st, the sun sextiles Pluto. The sun sextile natal Pluto gives you, the sun sextile Pluto. You are graced with an opportunity to delve deeply into aspects of your life that may have felt tangled or overwhelming. Well, don't we feel tangled and overwhelmed these days? This is a time when clarity can be achieved and you can transform confusion into understanding. Yay for that. I could certainly use a boatload of that. This synod, the relationship between these two planets, began actually January 20th, um, when they conjoined at 30 degrees of Capricorn, the last very possible moment they could still be in Capricorn, because then shortly thereafter, the Sun moved into Aquarius and then Pluto moved into Aquarius. So this is really, in a way, the last time the Sun and Pluto conjoined in Capricorn, since the sun, since Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008. So this is kind of the period of a sentence, and we're still reading the sentence because we're at the waning sextile. This is the side of the synodic cycle where we are distributing the knowledge. So there's a distribution of knowledge to all people. So perhaps things that were kept from some, now it's all out there, because Aquarius really is about the distribution of information, regardless of what level you're permitted to see information. Really, you may not understand it, and it may not be of consequence to you, but still the information is coming out. So we have that 30 degrees of Capricorn, which we've become very familiar with, a secret business meeting. Now Pluto is at one of Aquarius. Of course, we know what this is: an old Adobe mission, lasting values. Um, some aspects of life are more important than others, and we build lasting forms for those that we want to outlive us. Building structures of survival for your group. In a sextile to 1 degree of Sag, retired Army veterans gather to reawaken old memories, finding the meaning within our struggles. In this aspect, life on in the aspect of our life on Earth, that we will have a constant struggle against natural forces and other difficulties, processing the lessons within our mistakes and struggles. So this can just be a general sense of buyer's remorse for some folk. So just, I can't imagine what they might be having that over. But anyway, it is an opportunity for information to come out. And I imagine there'll be quite a bit of information coming out at this time. All right. And then on Friday, we have Venus sextile Saturn. This is occurring on a Ace of Cups day, 41.5. During this time, you may find yourself more attuned to your responsibilities and commitments within your relationships. So this actually bodes well for the previous symbols in that we have to kind of know who our friends are and who the people, like-minded people like ourselves who are here to build something maybe different and more lasting, right? Something that we want to outlive us. So this particular synod began back on March 21st of 2025. That's a 32.5 vibration. That is the path and a path and shadow of America in the system I use. And it was at 13 degrees of Pisces, a sword in a museum, single pointed certainty of purpose. Figuring out what you're here to do and doing it really. Now Venus, Pisces, Neptune is in the same place. So we can have like we're still looking at, Saturn, excuse me, Saturn's in the same place. So Saturn's still at this single pointed certainty of purpose in a sextile, opening the lines of communications, understanding, sharing our knowledge, sharing our wisdom, the humanitarian progressive thinking sextile with Venus, fire worshiper, mysticism. Beyond all concerns of fame and fortune, the mystic seeks to know the ultimate secrets of life, resonating with enduring values. So all you mystics out there, and I know I've met a couple of you most recently in your readings, it is time to get your magic together. The path of the mystic is one in which we put one foot in front of the other, where we aspire. We aspire to our highest selves. We aspire to our own heart so that we can connect with all things spiritual, soul, um, and magical. All right, well, we're going to leave it there. Let me stop this. All right, guys, well, that's the week ahead. I hope you find this helpful. I will see you again next week for the last week of November, and then of course for December the Taroscopes will be out on the 25th of November. So for December, unless you happen to be a patron of mine on Patreon, and you'll get it earlier than that. Until next week, take care of yourself. We are the people we've been waiting for. We just have to now connect with our inner selves in order to guide us through this, because there are no rules, there's no precedence for this except the precedence of our own experience and our own wisdom and our own love. Take care, everyone. I'll see you again next week. Namaste.